Welcome to the Property Bible. This show was created for current property owners, people looking to purchase property, and for professionals in the industry. Hope you enjoy. Welcome to another episode of the Property Bible. My name is Kimberly Ackerman. I'm a buyer's agent from Trelease Associates in Sydney. Today, we're going to be talking about something fairly obvious, property insurance. Now, everybody has property insurance to some extent when you're an owner of a property, but today I really want to hone in on the important things to think about when you're choosing an insurance policy, as well as some of the recent changes through COVID and some of our legislation changes, and who better to help me introduce this topic than Wade Taouk from Borromean Insurance. Welcome, Wade.
Thank you for having me, Kim.
So Wade, we've worked together for several years now. Yep. You've not only done insurance policies for my personal insurance properties, but you've helped many of my clients get some really competitive rates. So thank you.
Yep.
I really want to talk about the common types of residential property insurance
Sure.
that people should be thinking about.
Sure.
So what are some of the things or some of the areas that people should be covering?
Well, there's really four types of insurance when it comes to your property. The main thing that you want to know is two aspects. One aspect is it an investment or is it a home?
Yeah.
Another aspect is, are you part of a strata or is it a household?
Torrance title.
Torrance title.
Correct.
So, if it is an investment, you're going to be choosing a landlord policy.
Yes.
If it is a home, you're going to be choosing a home policy.
Correct.
If it's a strata, you don't need to worry about building. And if it's a non-strata, you do need to worry about building. We'll talk about it more later.
Yeah.
But they're the sort of four
Yeah.
different aspects that you want to worry about.
So you've really got to juggle around your insurance policies based on the type of usage
Yes.
that you have and based on the type of property that you have.
That's right, exactly.
Now,
Yeah.
I guess one of the biggest types of insurance that we have is the building insurance.
The building insurance,
Yeah.
yes.
So tell us a bit about what that covers and the kinds of things that people need to think about when getting building insurance.
Well, the building insurance covers the physical building, but it covers also anything attached to the building as well. So it does cover your solar panels, does cover your water heater.
Okay.
It covers the kitchen fit out.
Mm-hmm.
Everything that's attached to the building is considered
Fencing?
building.
Would it cover things
Fencing
like
is included,
fencing?
yep, because that's
Okay.
attached. That's sort of a physical
Okay.
attachment. Everything that's not attached to the building will be considered contents, which we'll talk about later.
Okay. So with building insurance, from what I understand, it is not a legal requirement for us to have building insurance. However, if people have a mortgage, for example, if they're about to buy a property and they're going through the bank to get a mortgage on that property, it's not a legal requirement, but the banks do ask you to put building in place before they issue you with that loan officially. Is that right?
That's right. So a mortgage won't be settled with most banks. 99% of any mortgage you take out would need you to have insurance on the building, and for them to be noted as an interested party.
Okay.
Protects them as the mortgagee.
Okay.
So
All right.
that is correct. Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. Now, the next big type of insurance is obviously strata insurance.
Strata insurance, yep.
This is not something that people necessarily have to think about going and getting an insurance policy for, because it's normally included when you're buying something like an apartment or a townhouse.
That's right.
That's under a strata title.
That's right.
So tell us a little bit about what strata insurance generally covers.
Strata insurance will be done by the strata management,
Yeah.
and you pay them to get that done and manage it for you.
Mm-hmm.
Strata will cover the building, so you don't need to worry about building cover. If you own a unit, you won't need to worry about building cover.
Mm-hmm.
It covers many other sections. One section that is relevant to the tenants is fraud or fidelity by the strata managers. So if they commit any fraud or if they steal any money, the tenants are covered to get reimbursed. There's many other sections in a strata policy, and if we're working with a client, we can walk them through every section. But they're the two sort of main ones you might want to worry about and make sure that they're on the policy.
Okay. And I think a big thing to talk about with that is the fact that if you do have a strata style property or strata titled property, you don't have to get separate building insurance out.
You don't have to get separate building
It's
insurance.
inclusive with the strata insurance.
That's right.
And it's part of the strata rates that people pay
That's
on a
right.
quarterly basis.
Absolutely.
So you're covering your building already. You don't have to get separate insurance. You only have to worry about the internal portions of the apartment. So
You got to worry about the internal portions, yeah. So you definitely still need landlord's cover,
Yeah.
but the building section won't be
If it's an investment.
if it's investment,
Yeah.
of course. If
Yeah.
it's investment, if it's a home,
Yeah.
you'll be needing content insurance.
Yeah.
So if it's an investment, you need landlord insurance because you want to cover possible contents.
Mm-hmm.
Carpet can be considered contents. As an investment, what do you own in the property? Some people think they don't really own any contents.
Yeah.
But carpet can be considered contents. The washing machine can be considered, if the washing machine is owned by you, it can be considered contents. Dishwasher.
Yeah.
So it's good to have a bit of cover for contents.
Yeah.
Because you don't know what could
Of course.
occur.
The non-fixed items.
Non-fixed items.
And I guess that leads us to the third type, which is landlord insurance.
Landlord insurance, yes.
If you're an investor and you have a property, whether it's a home unit, a house or a unit type townhouse, and you're going to have a tenant in that property, before you get a tenant in that property, you should be thinking about, I need to put landlord insurance in place to cover not only the physical aspects, but the rental type aspects.
The rental cover.
So tell us a little bit about what is landlord insurance and the different components of landlord insurance.
Yeah, sure. So landlord insurance is for investors, as we said. It can be a unit or it can be a physical home. If it's a home, you're going to cover your building. You're going to cover your possible contents, as we discussed. Landlords can have possible contents in their property. You want to cover your rental income. Rental income is in two forms: loss of rent and rent default. Which we won't go into too much unless you want to. But so it covers your rent. It protects your rent, and you've also got public liability, which people sort of don't think about.
Yeah, they don't.
But it's important to have. If you as a landlord can be blamed for an injury, because of your mismanagement of the property, doesn't happen all the time, but you can imagine a scenario where it would happen. Public liability will kick in to provide you cover. So it does happen. It is there. And that's the reason why really you should not operate any sort of investment property without
public liability.
The whole package. And it's not expensive.
It's not. And I mean, public liability, is that a common thing that is normally included in landlord insurance?
It is a standard in every single landlord policy, in every single home policy.
Okay, fantastic. And I think, we always talk about the non-fixed items inclusive, which is a component of landlord insurance.
That's right.
So landlord insurance includes the rental aspect, it includes the contents aspect, it includes the public liability aspect, and possibly the building aspect in some respects.
So you've got to know what each one is, know if you need it.
Correct.
Whether or not you need building, whether or not you need contents. I always recommend having some kind of contents. Whether or not you want rental cover, of course, we recommend to have rental cover. And public liability comes attached to it, whether you want it or not. It's part of the package.
And something really interesting that you and I spoke about recently, some insurers, basically what would happen if you had to take out a claim for landlord insurance, if your tenant came in and, trashed the place or did something wrong and you had to make claims from both the strata side, if you had a unit, and then you'd also have to make a claim through the landlord side. Tell us a bit about those insurers that actually take care of both for you.
Yeah, so we mentioned that if you have a strata policy, it covers the building and you'll cover your own contents. If both were to be damaged or you had a rental loss claim and building damage claim, where you want to be reimbursed from both, your landlord insurer will handle it for you as one point of contact.
Which is super helpful.
What I mean by that is they'll cover the building there and then. They need to make sure that you do have strata insurance, which most people will have. So they'll cover the building, they'll cover the rental cover. They'll give you one lump sum payout or they'll just fix it, either way. And then they'll go and reimburse the costs from the strata insurer who's actually supposed to pay it. But the point is to have one point of contact, one pay, one settlement, and one person, getting it done. It makes it easier, definitely. It's not every landlord insurer. It's, it's only sort of selected the gold standard sort of good insurers that you work with. That's why it's good to ask your broker. That I'll deal with, And it's good to ask them. Ask that from any provider that you're working with or without a broker.
I think so. And probably the most pertinent part of this that I really wanted to make sure we mentioned is the changes with COVID.
Sure.
So obviously with everything that happened towards the beginning of the year, a lot of people didn't realize that insurers were actually removing the rent default component of the policies following expiry of those policies. So if your policy expired in May, June, they were actually taking out that section that says that you could get reimbursed for rent default because they knew everyone was going to basically start claiming for rent default.
Well, they thought so, and it didn't really happen, but they were worried. You know,
it's a little bit sneaky.
It's their right. It is. You can say it's. They didn't do it for policies that had it already. So I'll start from the top. So at around March, when COVID was really at the scary time of COVID, when everyone was worried that what's going to happen, all landlord insurers had an embargo on rent default. So any new business wouldn't accept it.
Yeah.
And any renewing business would remove it.
When we need it the most.
When you need it the most. Their worry was, so rent default covers, maybe I should tell people what rent default covers and understand why.
That would be great.
Rent default covers if your tenant defaults on their rent and you need to evict them.
Yeah.
After the eviction process, there will be some weeks missed because it does take time to evict someone.
Of course.
Those missed weeks will be reimbursed to you.
Normally,
under a normal policy.
Yeah.
And it's up to 18 weeks.
Yeah, right.
So, the insurer can be out of pocket.
Yeah.
Let's say 18 grand. It's $1,000 a week. But it doesn't happen that often.
Yeah.
But when COVID came around, they all got worried, thinking that everyone's going to rent default. And not only that, they're protected by the government to sit in their unit for up to 18 weeks, even more. So they'll exhaust the entire limit of the policy.
Correct.
So rather than burn their books and pay all these claims and destroy their businesses, they decided to embargo the product, and that was from about March.
Yeah. So they decided not to pay it anymore, basically, for any new policies, that were all being renewed. Yeah. It's crazy.
They overreacted. It's well known now that they overreacted, and they're bringing it back slowly.
Okay.
We're working with the first insurer that I'm aware of that has brought it back.
Yeah.
They ask you a few more questions to get it done, but we work with after negotiation through my licensee group and other brokers.
Yeah.
We've been able to push them to bring back rent default, which has just come back this month.
Which is great. And I think, I speak to a lot of different insurers and people in the industry, and a lot of people are saying that you can't get rent cover and you can't get rent default cover. And then I speak to someone like yourself who has gone, beyond those limits and being able to find a solution to the problem. So I think it's also about people. Number one, I'm a big broker fan. I always encourage people to go to a broker if you're getting insurance because they're going to shop around for you and get the best policy possible. But you guys know, you're professionals, you know what's going on in the background, and you know these sorts of things that the average person doesn't know as far as it is possible. It's just a matter of knowing what providers to go to get that information.
Yeah, you get a lot of benefits for brokers working for you, so that we're chasing up the insurer to see when it's coming back on a weekly basis. We're using our leverage with the products that we hold to sort of pressure them to bring it back. If you're working direct with any other insurer, direct as in without a broker, there's no real leverage that you have. You just, when it happens, it happens. A broker is working for you to get it done as fast as possible.
And you're shopping around. It's kind of like me as a buyer's agent, having one property available in a way. Obviously, every insurer has different levels of policies and different types of policies. But as a broker, you're going out to everybody out there and really saying, well, what's the best policy for this person and what's the best policy out there at the moment that's available?
Yeah, of course. We work with 10 plus landlord insurers. Some won't do an area because of flood, another will.
Yeah.
So we,
you know which ones to go to.
We know which ones to go to.
Yeah.
And it's always good to have those options. One landlord insurer might double their premium 1 year.
Yeah.
You don't want to have to stay with them. You want someone to do the shopping for you.
So you review them as well.
Review them every year.
Yeah.
So
which I love.
Which is good. So, done in the background, you don't know, all you know is that you get your premium the next year.
Yeah.
It's still competitive and everything was done in the background.
Well, one thing I like about your service is the fact that every year I don't have to worry about my policy lapsing, about forgetting to pay a bill or missing the invoice. You make sure it's covered for me every year. You make sure you chase up with me and my clients, the ones that have gone with you, to say, hey guys, the policy's about to expire. I've done some shopping around for you and I've managed to find this one that's actually cheaper and provides more options. So I love that about your service. And it's a very inexpensive amount to pay to get that kind of service. I mean, it's all relative to the size of the policy. Generally, if you have a $1,500 annual policy, you might pay something like $100 for that review. And that is invaluable to me. It not only pays for itself because you're literally finding policies that I may not be able to find for myself, but are also cheaper than the standard policies that are out there in some cases.
Yeah, no, completely. I completely agree. Yeah, that's completely fair to say.
Very competitive. I found anyway.
Yes. And usually it's cheaper than with direct insurers in any case. So you get the advice and you get a better premium and you get a shop for you. And
you guys are using premium providers as well, which I want to make really clear. I mean, every broker's different. And so I did want to talk really generally about, you know, the broker industry, but obviously I want to talk about what you do as well. And the insurers that you're using and that you're going to are premium insurers. You're not getting El Cheapo property insurance from, basic insurers, using good quality insurers, basically.
Definitely. Look, you know, it might be a bit more expensive than what you'll find on, you know, a search bar, but we're not going to give anyone insurance that we think is not worthwhile.
And to be honest, it's cheaper.
And it's
in my experience.
And it's still cheaper.
Yeah, you've been able to get policies for insanely good prices that I haven't seen a lot of insurers able to do. So that's why I keep recommending people to you time and time again.
Thank you.
But I really did want to talk about a live case study that happened. I have insurance policies, which you look after, personal insurance policies of mine. And I think one of the reasons why I wanted to do this segment was because to kind of psychologically talk about how to let go of our policies when we have insurance in place, how to let go of the properties, when we have insurance in place. A lot of people buy investment properties, for example, and they get, especially if it's their first or second perhaps, and they get very emotionally involved in that property. They don't want any scratches on the wall. They don't want anything to happen to the property. And I really want to talk about my experience and what happened to me and how it kind of trained me to just let go of it all. So I have a property in Sydney that I had just renovated. I renovate properties, you know, as often as I can. And this particular property, blood, sweat and tears, I was in there for 4 weeks straight renovating this, hands and all. And basically a few months after the first tenant moved in, it was fully set up, they were paying their rent and everything like that, my property manager contacted me one day and said, I can't get a hold of the tenant. I'm supposed to be having an inspection, but I can't get in. And we got to the point where he had to just show up because the tenant wasn't getting back to him. He went into that property only to find that the entire place had been completely vandalized, trashed. Everything you can possibly imagine had been done, unfortunately. So brand new property. I had a new kitchen, new bathroom, paint, flooring, blinds, everything from top to bottom was brand new. The kitchen cupboard doors were ripped off. There was graffiti all over the walls. The flooring had been damaged. The bathroom basin had been cracked in half somehow. Shower screens ripped off, you name it. Now, for something like that, it's quite traumatizing to people, even if they do have property insurance in place. And I guess something for us to think about is the fact that this is why we have insurance in place.
The insurance is there to give you peace of mind.
Correct.
For you to go and move on to the next property, you know. And how bad your scenario was, the insurance still kicked in.
Yeah, it did.
And it was still handled and it was still finalised.
Yeah.
And you still given settlement to get the repairs done again. So your point is valid that especially if it's your first property, your heart might be into it, but insurance is there so you can move on. Move on and work on the next property.
Especially if people are trying to build a portfolio. They don't want every investment to feel like a home that they're trying to take care of and they're worried who's in there. So it's good to buy that investment, think of it as an incoming producing asset, which it is. Put insurance in place and let it go and let it do its job type thing. And people have to obviously realize, and this is kind of an obvious one, but if you do make a claim, there's a good chance that your premium is going to go up slightly perhaps.
Premium will go up slightly. It's still worth making the claim. it might go up,
It's not going to go up as much as
it's not going to go up.
repairs are going to cost.
No, definitely not. And it's not going to double.
It's not
in any
going to
case.
double.
It might go up by 20%.
Correct.
Which is still, in the grand scheme of things, you're still saving.
Absolutely.
So I wouldn't worry too much about that. If you have a claim, lodge it.
That's the whole point of it.
If it's a very small claim, you might want to think about it. But if it's a sizable claim, don't even think about the premium. Lodge it and get it fixed.
Absolutely.
Yep.
So I guess, we've covered those 4 types of insurances today. We've gone through your building insurance, your strata insurance, your landlord insurance, and contents also to an extent.
Yes.
Now, just to really wrap things up and sort of go through some of the things for people to think about when they are choosing insurance policies for their properties, understand your property and its requirements. So you're going to know what type of property you're trying to insure, and you're going to know what kind of usage. Once you determine those 2 things, you'll be able to know what kind of policies you need. And an insurance broker like yourself will be able to tell that person what insurance policies they should be thinking about taking out at the time. Good point is obviously making sure you have those policies in place before you're leasing or before you're buying. Would that be right?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Well, or at least on settlement. So you think about it before it comes up, and get it done on settlement.
Correct.
Yep.
Another thing is obviously explore the use of a broker. Please, someone like yourself, get out there, have a look at what kind of brokers are out there, who you feel comfortable with, check what fees they have, what kind of experience they have, and make sure you're choosing a good broker who knows what they're doing moving forward. Be aware of your excesses, which we haven't spoken about till now.
Yes.
Not all policies are created equal. Yes. So understanding the different types of policies, why some may be cheaper than others, have a look at what kind of excesses they have. If you do make a claim, is it going to be a $500 excess? Is it going to be a $1,000 excess?
Yes.
That can make a big change to people's decisions as well, depending on their circumstances. Be aware of changes to premium costs when you do claim, and what kind of effect that will have, maybe a 20% increase, for example. Ask about the different types of monthly versus annual payments. We talk about this sometimes.
Yes.
So, I mean, if you're going to pay your policy in full over the year, it's going to be a lot cheaper than paying off monthly. But for some people,
it's the only option.
Yeah, it's the only option to pay monthly, and it's better for their circumstances. And the last thing is really be aware of your limits of your policy. A lot of people don't read the fine print with insurance policies, so it's good to be aware of what are your limits. Is it 18 weeks rent default, or is it no rent default at all?
Yes.
And really understand and look at the different types of insurance policy and make sure you're comparing apples with apples during this process. But look, that's pretty much a wrap for today. I feel like we've covered all those really important things that we needed to. Very grateful to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
That's it for today. Appreciate you listening in to the Property Bible. Join us for the next episode coming up.